Hello everyone, it's Crimes of Research Saturday. This first crime is about James Bulger. I'll read to you, then I'll do the next two in two separate videos. Let's get started. Oh, please like, subscribe, and share my videos, please. I can never forgive Thompson and Venables for the horrendous, calculated, cold-blooded murder of James. James murdered Denise Fergus, the Observer, March 2008. James Patrick Bulger was born on 16 March 1990 in Kirkby, England. His parents, Ralph and Denise, had previously lost a daughter who was stillborn. However, James is a picture of health and a bundle of joy. With his big blue eyes, and light brown hair, he's a happy-go-lucky child who's always smiling and making his parents laugh. Age 25, Denise dotes on him and is very protective. But a routine trip to the shops just before his third birthday is about to rip this young family apart. Friday, 12 February 1993. Denise is out with James at the Boodle Strand Shopping Center. It's late afternoon when Denise makes her final visit to ARTYM's butcher shop. She places her order, but she's momentarily distracted and takes her eyes off James. Sadly, it's long enough for him to disappear. Rushing outside, she searches frantically. For Denise Bulger, her worst nightmare is coming true. The police are called after security staff failed to locate him. She describes him again as wearing a blue anorak with a hood and mustard-colored lining, silver-colored tracksuit bottoms, and white trainers. At 4 p.m., a young PC who's carried out a drill search by the shopping center is comforting a distraught Denise. By 5:30 p.m., the shopping center closes for the day. The police launch a major search for a missing child in Bootle, Liverpool. What starts off as a simple hunt for a missing child turns into something sinister. When by Friday night he's still not found, the police and security staff work through the night at the Strand Shopping Center to sift through the CCTV footage. Their efforts are rewarded when they pinpoint James leaving the butcher shop earlier that day. Tracking his movements, the police search for the clues. They confirm that moments after James is seen exiting the butcher's, a panic-stricken Denise also leaves the shop and is seen on the ground floor hunting for her son. Unbeknown to her, James is now on the top floor and appears to be following two boys. The footage reveals the haunting, grainy image of the last recorded moments of James Bulger. Two boys can be seen of James. One boy is holding James' hand. They are all heading towards the exit in the direction of the Leeds Liverpool Canal. Sunday, 14th February 1993. It's Valentine's Day, and James has been missing for 2 days. The police and James' family have tried everything to find him. Patrol cars have been used with loudspeakers. Press conferences have been called appealing for the two boys in the Strand Shopping Center to come forward, and a manhunt is underway, searching the nearby canals and wasteland areas. Hope for a happy ending disappears when a young boy rushes into Walton Lane Police Station and announces a body has been found on the railway tracks, less than 150 yards from the back of the police station. What the police discovered horrifies the nation. The police have a murder to solve. and two young boys to track down. Timeline: 12 February 1993. 2-year-old James Bulger is abducted from Boodle Strand Shopping Center. 14 February 1993. James Bulger's battered body is found laying on a railway track by Walton Lane Police Station. 18 February 1993. Robert Thompson and Don Venables are arrested at their homes in the Liverpool area. 22 February 1993. Robert Thompson and John Venables appear in court charged with the abduction and murder of James Bulger. 1 March 1993. James Bulger's funeral takes place. 1 November 1993. The trial takes place at Preston Crown Court. 24 November 1993. The jury in Robert Thompson and John Venables guilty of the abduction and murder of James Bulger. 22 June 2001. Having served a minimum 8-year sentence, Robert Thompson and John Venables were released. 23 July 2010. Venables is arrested and jailed for downloading and distributing indecent images of children. James Bulger, victim. John Venables, the 10-year-old murderer, currently serving time for downloading and distributing indecent images of children. Robert Thompson, the 10-year-old murderer, who was released on 22 June 2001. Detective Superintendent Albert Kirby. Senior Investigating Officer Mr. Judge Moreland. Judge. The arrest. After James' murder emotions among the Liverpool community are running high. On the bank, close to where his body has been found, hundreds of flowers are being placed. Among them is a bunch of flowers put there by one of James's murderers. The only leads the police had to go on are the grainy images from the Strand revealing James' abduction. Keeping an open mind, the police want to track down the two youths seen leading him out of the shopping center. Turn for the police is they need a way to improve the CCTV footage in order to work out the ages of the two teenagers. The Ministry of Defense agrees to help, with the public's support in trying to catch a killer. The one thing the police aren't short of is information. On Tuesday, 16 February, they arrest a young boy. It's breaking news. However, neighbors who is the scene the police arrive jump to the wrong conclusion, believing he's guilty. A near riot ensues. The level of anger that someone could commit such a brutal and savage murder has incensed the Liverpool community. As soon as the innocent boy and his family are rooted out of the inquiry, they're forced to move house. A woman sees the grainy images from the Strand and recognizes the two individuals as Robert Thompson and John Venables. They are known troublemakers, and a quick check of the school register proves they were playing truant the day James Bulger went missing. Thursday, 18 February 1993. The police act on this information, and plainclothes policemen in unmarked cars are sent to arrest them. Robert Thompson is 10 years old and lives in Walton with his mother and two younger brothers. His 4 other brothers have all been taken into care. When the police arrive, they realize his house isn't far from the murder scene. John Venables is also 10. His parents divorced when he was 3 years old, and together they share joint custody of him and his 2 siblings. When he appears at the top of the stairs, the police are astounded by his young age and small stature. The police are certain that the boys they just arrested aren't who they're looking for. They strongly believe the children are just not capable of such a crime. This belief is shared by Detective Superintendent Albert Kirby, who's in charge of the investigation. He dismisses the boys as murderers, but still wants to question them. Kirby believes they are looking for teenagers. So in a desperate bid for more information, he asked Crime Watch to help. The program is to be broadcast on Thursday, 18th February. For the first time in the program's history, an appeal is to be launched in the same week the murder has been committed. During the broadcast, police released newer and better enhanced images of the two boys, hoping that someone would be able to identify the two individuals. What the police fail to realize is the two suspects they're searching for are already in their custody. The aftermath. The Bulger family. A month after James' killers were found guilty, Denise gives birth to a baby boy called Michael James Bulger. Ralph and Denise finally have a reason to continue living. The whole world has been turned upside down, and sadly their marriage falls apart. In 1994, Denise splits from Ralph. She later remarries in 1998 when she meets Stuart Fergus. Together they have 2 sons. Ralph remarries and has 3 daughters with his second wife. I want to see good things done in James's name, Denise Fergus, BBC News Online, January 2011. The James Bulger Memorial Trust in 2011, the year James would have turned 21. Denise Fergus launches the James Bulger Memorial Trust. For too long, Denise has seen nothing good come from James' death, so spurred on by Esther Anston and or the Red Balloon Charity, she's inspired to help benefit and support young victims of crime, hatred, or bullying. Her plans are to reward those who have shown exemplary conduct in helping others. She wants to do this by providing cost-free travel and holiday accommodation for children and families. She creates James Bulger House. I want to see good things done in James' name. The killers. The Lord Chief Justice raises the recommended minimum sentence for the 2 boys from 8 years to 10. Then in July 1994, the Home Secretary raises it to 15 years. There's public outcry that the government is interfering, and the House of Lords overturns that ruling. In 1999, lawyers for Thompson and Venables appealed to the European Court of Human Rights that the trial had not been impartial. The European Court dismisses that charge, but agrees that the case had not been fair. This leads Lord Chief Justice Lord Wolfe to review the minimum sentence. He reduces it from 10 back to the original 8 years. On 22 June 2001, having served their 8 years, both Thompson and Venables are released on a lifelong license. Both men are given new identities and moved to different parts of the country to maintain their safety. An injunction prevents the press from publishing any details about the 2 killers. On 23 July 2010, Venables, age 27, is jailed after admitting downloading and distributing indecent images of children. He is denied parole on 27 July 2011. His case will come for review by 2013 at the latest. Since his release in 2001, Thompson has kept a low profile and has done his best to maintain his anonymity. He came close to meeting Denise Fergus in 2004 and she managed to track him down. However, paralyzed with anger and hatred, she couldn't confront them. The trial. On 22 February 1993, the 2 boys appear at South Sefton Magistrates Court in Bootle to face their charges. They pled not guilty. A crowd of 300 people gather outside, and as the vans leave, a riot breaks out. This time, the vans are decoys, but it raises questions. What would have happened if the crowd got hold of one of the defendants? The authorities, having underestimated the public's anger, relocate the trial to Preston. The trial begins on 1 November at Preston Crown Court. A special platform is built to allow the defense to see above the railings. Denise and Ralph Bulger announced they were expecting another baby, but Denise refuses to come to court. She's vehement she won't sit in the same vicinity as James' killers. To this day, they are still certain details of the case that she's unaware of. Crucially, the boys have now reached the age of 11 and are old enough to be convicted of murder. However, the jury needs to believe that both boys understand the seriousness of their crimes. To hide the identity of both boys, they are referred to during the trial as Child A and Child B. A special platform is built to allow the... You already said that. An injunction prevents the press from releasing the boys that tried to abduct the little boy from the same shopping precinct. The mother spotted her son and daughter playing with two boys while paying for her shopping. She realized her son was missing. As she went outside, she saw the same two boys beckoning her son to follow her. Screaming his name, her son returned. During the trial, she remembers hearing Thompson Venables say, "We'll take one of those." Venables mentioned in his police interview it was their intention to find a child and throw them into the path of an oncoming bus or taxi in the road outside the shopping center. They wanted the death to look like an accident. This is a horrifying revelation and a coup for the prosecution. During the abduction of James Bulger, the pair took him on a 2.5-mile walk out of the city. It would take just over 1 hour and 15 minutes to complete. 38 witnesses are called to the stand to reveal what they saw at the various stages of James' final journey. The prosecution wants to make it clear to the jury that they don't need to rely on Thompson and Venables' version of events. One witness, Malcolm Walton, says he's seen a child matching James' description near the Leeds and Liverpool Canal that looked to be in a distressed state. Another, Irene Hitman, who was taking a dog for a walk close to her home in Breeze Hill, also saw the same boy at about 4:40 p.m. She said the boy looked to be frightened with large lumps on his head. She told Thompson and Venables to take the boy home, but that wasn't their intention. The witnesses all blamed themselves for not interfering, but they want to know the terrible crime that would unfold. The forensic evidence submitted to the jury is vital. Graham Jackson, a Home Office forensic scientist, matched blood samples from James to the blood found on Child B's shoe. There is a 1 in a billion chance of it being an error. Philip Ryder, another forensic scientist, was able to match the pattern of bruising on James' right cheek with features of the upper part of his shoe worn by Child A. There are black borgies that had distinctive stitching and unusual arrangement of lacing rings. Light blue paint marks have been discovered on James' anorak, hair, shoes, and underpants. The same light blue marks were also found on Child A and B's clothing, including their jackets, trousers, and shoes. Andy Moley, a forensic scientist, pointed out to the jury that a paint mark on Child B's sleeve might well have been James' small handprint. Despite their strong evidence, the police are concerned that the jury will only return a verdict of manslaughter. The fact that the jury needs to be sure the boys know the severity of their crimes is troubling the police, especially Detective Superintendent Albert Kirby. After hearing 3 weeks of evidence, the jury are asked to deliver their verdict. On 24 November 1993, taking just 6 hours, the jury found both Thompson and Venables guilty. Mr. Justice Moreland sentenced them to be detained at Her Majesty's pleasure for a minimum of 8 years. Robert Thompson and John Venables, the killing of James Bulger was an act of unparalleled evil and barbarity, Mr. Justice Moreland, before passing the sentence November 1993. On Thursday, 18 February, the arresting officers start to interview the two boys. Thompson has been taken to Walton Lane Police Station, and Venables has found himself in Liverpool's Lower Lane Police Station. Both boys had samples of their blood, hair, and fingernails taken. The police are entering new territory of this investigation, as no one has ever interviewed the child murder suspects before. To ensure the testimonies will stand up in court. It's important that the two boys understand the implications of telling lies and telling the truth. They both pass, so the questioning commences. Both young boys had their mothers present along with legal representation. However, they are both coping very differently with the police questioning. Venables acts his young age. He's hysterical and extremely scared of the investigators. He's revealing his deep-rooted fears of being sent to prison. Thompson, on the other hand, is controlled and mostly composed throughout the whole process. Venables is quick to reveal that he had been in the area on the day that James disappeared, but doesn't mean the Strand shopping center. Thompson eventually reveals that they are both at the Strand and goes to describe in detail the clothes that James was wearing. The police are perplexed as to why a young boy of 10 would know that information. This is one of Thompson's major slip-ups as it reveals James had been with the boys for a very long time. Thompson later confesses that the two boys had taken James Bulger from the shopping center. The breakthrough. The police are having a hard time, as getting the story straight is proving tricky. Both the boys are blaming each other for things and doing their best to hide the truth. Thompson's testimony changes on 5 different points over the course of 2 days of questioning. So when Venables asks if you can get fingerprints off skin, that alarm bells start ringing for the police. The boys are obviously hiding something. Police start to notice a pattern in Thompson's chatter. Whenever he starts to talk about James, his anxiety causes his legs to shuffle. By lunchtime on Friday, 19 February, Thompson admits that they had taken James to the railway line. During the investigation, there's an eerie moment when Thompson imitates a wailing James asking for his mother. The investigating officers find it unnerving. Nearing 1 p.m., Venables finds himself alone with his parents. It's at this point that he can't take anymore. He breaks down and confesses to being involved in the murder. The police are listening to everything. With this revelation, they can now interrogate Thompson. He refuses to admit his guilt in James' death, but police feel that they have enough evidence against both suspects. On Saturday, 20 February 1993, the boys are charged with the abduction and murder of James Bulger. Now, you want to know my opinion on how much time they got? They only got 8 years and they were released. And it wasn't in a jail. It was in a place where they were pampered. They should have got the death sentence. Since they can kill a little boy, why should they be able to grow up? That little boy wasn't able to because of them. They should have been kept in prison and given the death sentence whenever they wanted to give it to them. To scare them just like they scared poor James. See y'all. Bye.